No, I would like to mention Raheem Sterling, to be honest. You mentioned there already in terms of some of his calls. I think Sterling's very interesting to listen to, particularly his views on the issue of racism. He's come out very strong in terms of how he perceives how players should react to, and he's very strong in terms of no player should be walking off the pitch. The right message to send is to stay on the pitch and to get your message across by in terms of keeping your concentration, keeping your level up. And if you're a forward attacking player, as Sterling is, putting the ball into net and keep playing at that high level and send that message out to the people. You can shout what you want at me. It's not going to affect me. I'm too mentally strong. I'm going to shove this back down your throat. It takes him back a little bit to, like, Cyril Regis, bless him, died not too long ago. There's a lot of people talking about Cyril Regis and the time he played and the black players at West Bromwich Albion at the time and the amount of racist taunts which they had to receive, which was quite unbelievable. And how and some quotes attributed to Regis in terms of what he thought of and how felt the best way he felt he could approach. And it was very similar to this what Sterling was talking about. He came out and he said, look, I didn't want to show these people how it had affected me. I wanted to concentrate on my game. I desperately wanted to put that ball into the back of the net. That was my answer to these people. And I have a lot of respect for that, because that's the hardest thing. I've never been in that situation, but it must be the hardest thing to do, is to keep yourself on the pitch. Continually hear those kind of insults, those racist insults coming from the stand, but somehow to be able to block them out, park it to the side, keep your concentration, and almost plough through it and maintain those high levels in terms of performance. For me, I have a huge amount of admiration. That type of to go down that particular type of avenue, for me, I hugely admire those type of players, and Sterling in particular is coming out with that kind of theme. Other players have taken a different approach. Danny Rose is very vocal this week, talking about he might take a different approach. He'd walk off the football. He's getting fed up with football, that type of thing. And a lot of people coming out saying, I have a huge admiration for Danny Rose. Well, look, I have a huge amount of understanding for Danny Rose in terms of, but I certainly wouldn't say I'd admire somebody greatly for walking off the pitch. If they heard a racist slur, that's it. I'm off the pitch, lads. You're all coming off with me.
I think
that's an easy thing. That's an easy thing to do, Jed. That doesn't take you.
It's not easy. It's not easy to walk off the pitch. I actually think that I think part of the problem here is that we're only asking the young black players in England to take leadership on this. Where are their teammates and colleagues? Where's Kevin De Bruyne coming out and saying this is absolute bullshit and I'm walking off and I'm standing out in solidarity? Where's the PFA when they're dealing with this? Where's the managers? Like, why is it up to?
I think the PFA and the associations have been reasonably vocal on this. Particularly, you can make the argument, I think, Jay, maybe 20, 30 years ago. Not now. I think there's a huge platform now for individual clubs. Clubs now doing a huge amount of work, not just the last couple of years, for a long time now in terms of community work, educational work, getting the message out there. Clubs themselves now are putting it out very vocal now. Public coming out there in terms of they will not tolerate any kind of racist behaviour, taunts, etc., sexist. You could broaden that out. So I think clubs have been very vocal on that. I don't buy this argument National Associate clubs aren't doing enough, and this argument for me for kind of banning international teams, even this, I think we're totally gone down the wrong route there. You're talking about players walking off with players showing solidarity. Again, I'd look at it the opposite way. I think it's the last thing for me. It's a slippery slope, actually. Players walking off the pitch, it's going to be absolute mayhem, and I'm not exactly sure what it solves. Walking off what does that resolve? Like, what message does that send to people in the stands?
If you walk off, obviously, then all of a sudden it's something that is dealt with at a structural level. It's like the tennis ball protest.
Well, how is it dealt with then?
Well, because if a team walks off, a game gets forfeited, and so suddenly there's a conversation about what is an appropriate responance. And
so what is the appropriate response, and what does that? Where is that leading us? What road is that leading us down? Players walk off. What are the mechanisms then that suddenly kick in?
How did hooliganism get stamped out of in-stadium hooliganism? How did they stamp that out? In the past, what stopped that?
Well, I think education played a part in that. The work clubs are doing behind the scenes with their supporters in the community, sending out the right messages. Young people, young supporters coming into the pub.
Was it not banning English clubs from Europe? Was that not like one of the main things that happened here? Is you're not allowed to play in this competition anymore because your fans can't be trusted to?
No, I don't think so. No, I disagree with you. I don't see that as a big. I don't see that as a big factor at all in terms of hooliganism.
I
wouldn't say no influence. I didn't think it was a big influence, and I don't.
It absolutely was. English football suddenly had to take the hooliganism problem seriously. Before that, it was like it's just a problem between these fans over here, and it doesn't matter. Then they get kicked out of Europe, and they're missing out on for a decade. It took them to effectively recover their position.
So you're making the point the effect that had it on clubs. Now clubs taking a more active role, more proactive role. So this is what I'm talking about. We're at this stage now where clubs are and have for a long time.
But they're not. They're not if the fans are still if they're fans.
It's not. But this is a social. You can't. It's too easy to point the finger at the football club.
It is a social issue, and so all of society needs to use all of the architecture available to it to step forward and go, this is completely unacceptable. Clearly, the fans aren't policing themselves to the point where some people think it's acceptable to come to a stadium in the Premier League when they know they're going to be on camera. Like that's the thing, they know they're going to get caught. I don't know.
So if you catch them on camera, you not necessarily public and shame them. You know who they are, and you ban them from life. That's as much for me as a football club. That's as much as you can do. As long as you're taking the responsibility seriously behind the scenes, you're very proactive in the community amongst your supporters, getting the message out there. This is not tolerated. We're not this type of football club, and doing this. That's as much as you can do as a football club. If you're doing as much as you can, and some idiot walks into your stadium a weekend and makes a racist comment, for me, it's all wrong that the club should be
punished.
Punished in any shape or form. It's totally wrong. If you're not taking it seriously as a football club, you're not getting you're sending mixed messages out. You're not taking the thing seriously whatsoever. In terms of security inside the stadium is another thing as well. You're not taking your responsibility. Well, then there's an argument. Well, you're not doing enough, so there's going to be consequences. But when you're actively doing as much as you can as a football club, for me, you should not be coming back and pointing the finger at the football club and saying, this is your responsibility. You're going to be punished. Point deduction. We're going to kick you out of competition, whatever it is. That makes no sense whatsoever to me.
Okay, fair enough. If all the clubs are doing everything they can, I'm not sure that all the clubs are doing all they can. We're asking individual players to be the thought leaders for an entire country in Raheem Sterling's case, and we're putting all the responsibility for what's happening on his shoulders, as opposed to saying everybody needs to step forward collectively. And I would like to see his teammates who aren't.
Well, I think they should, and they can do that publicly. Social media now as well, Ger. There's no excuse for you getting that message out there and supporting your teammates.
You said you never experienced anything like this. Not so. One of my abiding memories of being in college is the IRA bombing in Canary Wharf in '96, which was kind of, at the time it looked like it was the end of the peace process, because there'd been the ceasefire, and then this broke the ceasefire. Was there ever any talk? You were living in London at that stage in '96, maybe in Birmingham. Did it ever come up at that point?
No. There might have been a nod. There might be over the years, like a couple of things. You're this, you're that. Water off a duck's back to me. Like, I mean, that would probably be constituted as a racist comment. I don't know. In modern days now, will somebody calling you an Irish this and that probably leaning towards racist, would it?
It was sectarian anyway.
Well, sectarian anyway. Yeah. So. No, at the time I wouldn't have. That would have been kind of water off a duck's back to me. That was just kind of part of the game, something which you had to do. But that was the mentality generally, whether you were Welsh. You would have got that Welsh, Scottish, you would have got you, Scottish, you bum this. That was it. Like that was part and parcel. And now that's slightly different. I understand what we're talking about. But it's just a case of you get on with it. You know what I mean? You just get on with it. You walk past it, like, you don't let it affect you. That was just something but I didn't have a huge amount of it.
No,
that was very occasional.
Opposition fans or opposition players or?
No, very rarely. But I wouldn't have. I don't think it would have got under my skin, Ger, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, maybe it was a different time. We're living in different times now. Of course, any type of insults like that, obviously have to be shown for the I can't get away with that. But it was different. People dealt with those things a little bit differently. Maybe a little bit more sensitive to those type of things now. I'm not too sure. Obviously, it's not as simple as that. But there certainly was a different approach. Those type of things were still unacceptable then as they are now. But certainly there's a different type of mentality then, certainly amongst players. I've mentioned Cyril Regis there, how he dealt with those. I find that absolutely fascinating. But I think it is interesting. I am interested in listening to players. Sterling, particularly for me, is a very interesting character, like I said. And the approach that he's taken this, we saw in Montenegro, his game against England, clear racist chanting over there, and I just love the way he dealt with it. I just, if I was a teammate of his, if I was a supporter, looking at him, looking at his body language, how his chest out, shoulders back, I can hear it, they're 10 feet behind me, but still give me the ball. I'm still going to play, I'm still going to affect this game, I'm still going to be the best player in the pitch, and when I put the ball in the back of the net, which he did, cup a bit of that. That for me, as a teammate, that's exactly, for me, I'm looking at him thinking, I'm going to battle for this fella, as opposed to, hold on lads, come on, I'm off, are you coming with me? I can understand it.
I can
what
too.
I'm saying in terms of, as a teammate, what would really form me, what I'd like to see, what would really engage me, and I think, this I'm absolutely in awe of this person. It'd be the opposite approach in terms of I'm going to stand my ground. I'm gonna whatever you're going to throw at me, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to come out on the other side. And I think over time, I think that wins people over. It won't win certain people over who got those entrenched views and never going to change. But people on the sides who maybe look at it, maybe don't intervene, let these people get away with it, and see that type of reaction from Sterling and his on the pitch. I think over time it changes their perceptions. Maybe they will get a bit more involved. You're talking about fans not policing themselves. I think over time that'll encourage them to start policing themselves, because they look at the player and think, you know what? I mean, that the way he's behaving.
It's pretty grim that people need encouragement to stamp out racism.
Yeah, but it's natural. Yeah, but it's not. But that's not an easy in that kind of environment in a football stadium. That's not easy to step forward. People.
So those people are cowards, not standing up for the things that you believe in and the things that keep society together. Because otherwise,
that's too harsh.
No,
that's too harsh. If you've been in a football stadium, you're stood beside 10, 15 young boys
who are racially abusing somebody.
Aggressive.
Yeah, but if they're racially abusing somebody, you have an absolute
you've got your 10-year-old son along.
Okay, well,
that's not easy. It's an easy thing, and I'd like to think you'd like to think you'd intervene. I'd like to think I'd intervene.
Hundreds of people collectively, and we're talking about the fans of a Premier League team, effectively here. There are hundreds of people who don't have their kids with them who can turn around and go, shut up. This is our team, and you are representing us in a horrible, disgusting way. So asking the players to be the ones leading that is putting all the responsibility on them when the responsibility is on us.
It's a collective. No, you're right. It's a collective thing, and that would be the ideal scenario. Fans become actively inside the stadium. You're absolutely right, and I think that will. It is changing, Ger. It has been changing over the last 20. I know it's prevalent at the moment, and there's a lot of individual stuff being spoken about, games at the weekend and stuff. But generally, Ger, I think the game has moved on and it has improved for the good. We're not exactly where we want to be. We never will be, though. Ger, what this is a problem in society, generally speaking, it's always going to fall inside the stadiums at some point.
Yeah,
and we're going to experience it.
I think you can police stadiums though, because people have paid a ticket to be there, and it's a privilege. It's not a right to go and congregate and support teams.